I thought of the Q&A from last year. I really loved it. I think this is the kind of thing that as a community we need to be doing a lot more of and doing outreach. I backed the foot film earlier this year, as unfortunately didn't meet its funding goals, but I really think that we as a community need to be out there and sort of shining a public light on our cause, because I think there's a lot of people who would be supportive of people living barefoot. They just might not know about us. I think that's the most common reaction I get from people is like, oh, you go barefoot everywhere, like all the time? It's sort of a strange concept for a lot of people. And so I think the more we expose the world to our exposure of our soles and our feet, I think that's a huge thing. So I think things like this Q&A really help establish that we're out there, and that, I hope that other people besides other barefooters are watching this. Because, it's all great for us to preach to the choir, but at the end of the day, we definitely want to be doing outreach. I consider myself a barefoot ambassador and trying to get the word out about our lifestyle.
I didn't do last year's Q&A. I think I saw it. I think it came out just shortly after I had just started going barefoot. So I missed it last time, but I do think it's great to have that and any other resources that have been coming out lately to just show people that barefooting is actually normal, approachable, doable, real. Normal people are out there doing this, and it's great to have more resources like this and real people answering questions and saying that it works.
I live in Seattle, and one of the things I like about it here is that we have a mild climate year-round, so it's pretty easy to go barefoot year-round once you get used to it. This past winter, we had about 2 or 3 weeks that the temperatures got down to about freezing or right above that, and a couple days where it snowed, although it melted after about half a day. And that's pretty typical for the amount of winter you get in Seattle. And I find that I can go barefoot when it's that cold, but really when it's right around freezing or above, I feel more comfortable with shoes on. So I did put on a pair of Luna sandals with some little cotton socks, and that was fine. For snow, I found that it's pretty fun to run through it, or I can always go, no matter what it's like outside, I can always walk to my car and back or in and out of buildings. But if I'm going to be outside for a while, I did put on boots and socks in the snow. But mostly in Seattle in the winter, it tends to be an average of about 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 Celsius, and rainy. And in the rain, it's great to be barefoot because it's fun and I never have to worry about wet shoes and socks. And summer is beautiful here, so I'm staying barefoot, and it really never gets so hot that you have to worry about the pavement being too hot to be barefoot.
Well, in comparison to the Boston winter that I mentioned, in London it was particularly mild again, maybe a couple of degrees below freezing on a few occasions. There was hardly any snow here at all. And yeah, the summer's just got going. We've had a few warm days, a few nice hot days, and then plenty of rain in between. It's typical Britain, you never know what you're going to get, even once the day started. What I'm looking forward to most this summer actually is some more travel. I'm going down to Cornwall to visit Steve and Julie and Sarah and all the others for their Godolphin Barefoot Festival. That'll be my first visit to that festival, probably my first visit to Godolphin, and it's been a very, very long time since I was last anywhere near Cornwall at all. And I'm also really looking forward to going abroad to Germany. It will be another football video, but not just Danny, because I'm travelling out to Leipzig, going to visit the home of JS Bar, document my first foreign football match on my Around the Leagues and Bare Feet series. I'm really excited about that.
Yes, the barefoot winters around here are usually not that bad. Seattle, we get a little bit of snow, but nothing extreme. Really, the most I think I've gotten is a few days worth of snow, maybe a week. So I really don't have to deal with very much in terms of cold. It's a lot of wet, as most people have probably read or seen on the internet or on TV shows. So Seattle does get some rain. So you do have to put up with a fair amount of moisture, which presents some challenges for a barefooter, because excess moisture can definitely have a distinct impact on your skin. And I mean, yes, I'm looking forward to summer for a variety of reasons. I growing up in California again, I miss a lot of the weather from down there. So anytime we get more sun, more warm weather up here, it's beautiful. And in particular, in a stark contrast to where I grew up, where everything was yellow and really kind of dry and brown. Up here, everything's green and lush. And so when you get that combined with the weather and the warm temperatures, it's just paradise to me. I fell in love with this place, and now I'm getting sun on my face. Hey.
So I live in Boston, and it gets pretty cold here and snowy, and in fact last year was a pretty rough winter. Lots of snow, lots of ice, lots of salt on the road, so it was pretty rough. I managed to make it about halfway into December before the weather actually got bad enough to need to start not going barefoot. I wore the Vibram shoes a fair amount at first, as it was just getting a little bit too chilly. And then I did save a pair of winter boots that I wore when it was really snowy and slushy and icy. Both protect my feet from the cold and from the salt and stuff that's on the road. What I've come to appreciate is that feet are very resilient compared to what we normally think of. So especially when it's nice weather, the normal outdoor environment is perfectly conducive to bare feet, but it is a little rougher in the winter here. So I'm totally okay with working on the mechanical benefits of going barefoot and reinforcing the patterns of movement as much as I can go barefoot. And then when the situation like weather warrants it, then wearing shoes for a while. I didn't suffer frostbite, but what I learned about is there's another condition that's called chilblains, or recently it's been named pernio, and it's more like a damage to the blood vessels that seems to have something to do with changes in temperature, not actually freezing. Oddly enough, it was when I was wearing the Vibram shoes that was most commonly happening to me. So I think the toe separation factor of the toe shoes actually reduced my ability to keep warmth in the toes and probably was a contributing factor. So, and I'll keep trying and see, where the limits are this year. I'm not trying to do anything really too extreme. Just our definitions of extreme are a little bit different for barefooters than the average person.
I do believe that we do need to change our views on being living a barefoot life. I feel very comfortable when I'm doing something like this, and I wish I could be more barefoot more often, but unfortunately my job as a high school English and drama teacher kind of restricts that. Being 50 years old, some people would think, why don't you grow up? You don't need to be. Well, and sometimes I do embarrass my children. I think it's a very natural thing, and it's something that I truly enjoy. This is my house and where I live, and here is sort of a panoramic view of where I live and the green space of which I'm very proud. I'm here at the auditorium, or more specifically the stage, at Ames High School, where I work and teach as an English and drama instructor. As a public high school teacher, we have 1,400 students, all of whom have parents with definite opinions of how teachers should behave, and so generally this is about the only place that I'm able to actually be barefoot and lead a barefoot life and be comfortably barefoot. I have to be very careful as far as proselytizing and how my students see me, and however I do encourage them to be barefoot, especially on the weekends during rehearsals and set building and painting days during the play productions.